Hey, what is going on, guys? Ali here, back again with another video for you guys today for SAO, Sōdo Āto Online Alicization, War of Underworld, Part 2, episode, I believe it was 15, called Instigation. Whew! First of all, let's talk about the beginning, with Alice still breaking down, which looked even sadder in this episode. Like, you see the red around her eyes and shit. And Sinon got there, flying and whatever, and she's blaming herself that, like, I'm sorry, I was too late to help over here, and, like, oh my gosh, like, whew. Oh, okay, need to calm down for a second. See, these kind of reviews I don't like to edit because I want you to see my emotions and how I was feeling in this episode, because I don't know why, but I felt even more emotional in this episode than I was last episode. Even though, obviously, last episode was something that was seriously emotional. Like, I was crying and getting teary-eyed consistently throughout the episode. But seeing the beginning with Sinon talking to Alice, being that, like, she told Alice that, like, the Vecta was a person from the real world and he can come back and they don't actually die. They can just come back with another in another form. And Alice starts crying, like, what the hell was Bercoli's death for? Like, what was it? What did it all mean? Like, is it all just a farce and such? And I loved Sinon's, like, reasoning, like, when she talked to Alice after Alice said that, and the way that she said everything was just beautifully done. Telling, like, Alice that, are you saying Kirito's injuries aren't real, are false and everything? Sure, he can probably survive, he can probably live and survive in the real world, but these wounds that he has right now are something that very well possibly could be, like, permanent. You know, like, it could, this damage that Kirito has made, or has gotten, is because he wanted to save you. Just like how Bercoli wanted to save you. And that their deaths aren't in vain, you know? And just the way that Sinon talks is amazing. And then she said, which I would be lying if it slightly didn't, like, I want to say bothered me or something, was that, like, because, like, it slightly bothered me because of not Sinon saying it, but people might take that out of context or whatever that she's saying, is that I like Kirito. I like him very much. Just like how me and Asuna and everybody likes him very much. She doesn't say in love. She said, I like him. I like him very much. And that, like, a person that she holds affection and just cares for. Just like a best friend. Just like my friend. My best friends. I deeply care for these people. I like them. I love them very much. I like them very much. I hold affection and love for these people. And we genuinely care for each other. And that's what she's getting at. And the reason that it would sort of bother me is not because of her actually saying it and that I know the meaning of why she's saying it, but other people in the back just saying, like, oh my gosh, she's still in love with him. I don't see any of the girls honestly, like, in love with him at all anymore. It's just like they hold genuine affection and care for him and everything. But it's not in love or romance or stuff, because let's be honest, nobody can best Asuna in that department when it comes to Kirito. Let's be honest. But again, like the whole discussion was beautifully done and it was amazing. And Alice is like, and then she decides that, you know what, I'm gonna go to the altar, to the crystal, and Sinon said when she puts her hand on it, like other people in the real world can connect to her and like listen to her and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited to see that part. And like the whole thing with Alice being like, am I able to come back here and everything if I do go to that altar and stuff? Because, you know, that's a smart like question and everything, because it could have very well possibly have been that she touches that or she goes into the real world and she's not able to come back, which is a very huge like deal, because, you know, these are all her loved ones and shit, like in the underworld and stuff. So like Sinon said, yeah, you can do that. So then she goes, and Vecta shows up in that same spot. Obviously, because he died in that spot, he's gonna show up there, and which that was like a horrifying way when he came back. I was like, why is he riding on some like some giant manta ray, like monster manta ray thing, whatever? What, like, how is he able to do that with that with that creature? Is that like a Dark Territory creature, or is that a creature from GGO? Because I don't remember any of that stuff ever being a GGO. But he has a GGO avatar. I don't know. But that whole thing was already emotional and stuff. And then Sheta and the champion. I keep forgetting his name. But it's like, it starts with an I, right? It's like, but please, for the love of all that is good in this world, do not kill both of them off. Oh, jeez. Listen, like, hearing Sheta and seeing the champion like fighting and everything, and being like, I guess this isn't a shameful way, you know, to go out fighting and whatnot, to see the previous leader, or the previous champion of the Pugilis people and clan. And then Sheta comes in and starts fighting. Oh my, like, bro. I don't want to, you know, I'm just going to let it flow. If I start crying again, it's whatever, because I'm not editing this. I don't really like to edit too much, because I want to show you what I'm feeling at this moment. Just to see pretty much a confession with Sheta and him, which I was like, I wanted them to end up together, or to someday end, or I shipped them like almost immediately because of just their characters in general, giving each other so much respect and fighting spirit and stuff like that. And like when Sheta was fighting, she's like, I wanted to sever those fists of his, and just I wanted to slash that body made of diamonds, and then she's saying, but what is this feeling? And then like, her sword shatters, and she's remembering of what the Pontifex told her, being like, at the end of your road, you'll realize something, and that will be like the end of your curse or whatever. And then she's saying that like the end of her road is like, I ended up this journey of, I've been ending up slashing everything to find out what I don't want to slash and I don't want to kill or whatever. And she said it was you. Jeez. I was, in the moment that he started crying, waterworks in my eyes. I'm like, again, please, for the love of all that is good. And then they're talking, oh my gosh, they're talking about how they were talking about a family, like he wished that he could have had a family with her. Oh, he wished he could have had a family with her, and that their child would be like the strongest, like Pagillas and everything. Like he would be the greatest champion, stronger than the previous leader, stronger than me and such. And then she's like, no, our child will be a knight. And her saying our child will be a knight seems like she's not going to give up on their lives, and she's going, and like they're going to live or something. And my gosh, I hope they live. Oh my goodness, there's too much. I would have loved, and seeing all of those red soldiers coming to them, and Sheta just embracing him and hugging him, and them looking out into the giant army of red soldiers was just, oh my gosh. Maybe Lifa and Lilipin are going to come in and maybe like help them or something, because the champion ain't going to be able to like fight anymore or something. Like he is completely burnt out. You're seeing like all of his arms are just shaking, and his muscles are giving out, and you saw that, like, what was his ankle broke or something? Like, oh my gosh, this episode was so beautifully done. Oh, and I forgot to mention something. That whole thing with Sinon and Alice in the beginning, that was like the best idea and choice of not having any music or any soundtrack or anything during that time until Sinon said, like, I like Kirito, I like him very much and whatnot. So that was beautiful. And then, again, Sheta and the champion, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say this, like, I was crying and being teary-eyed consistently through last episode. But that whole thing with Sheta and the champion, like, straight up waterworks for me. Like, I could not stop crying the entire time. Sheta's my favorite Integrity Knight, period. You got Sheta, and then you got Alice, and then 3 is between Finaccio and Bercoli because they're just perfect, and I love both of them, and they're just perfect with each other. So those are my top 3, if anybody wanted to know. But man, like, I feel like somebody's going to come in to maybe help Sheta and them. I don't want to know or anything. Nobody mention anything in the comments about it and whatnot. They might just end up dying together right there. Oh my gosh, embracing each other. But I hope that Lifa and Lilipin like do something. I hope Lilipin doesn't die either. I don't want him to die. And like the champion dude, he's my favorite character in the Dark Territory. He's just fantastic. And oh my gosh, that shit was emotional for me. Like, and the way everything was animated and the art was just phenomenal and such. And then moving on, right? Moving on from that, you got like everything that's happening with Asuna and Klein and all of them, in that like they're, you know, easily starting to get better at, or like everybody from like ALO and even people from GGO, which I didn't even notice. Like I didn't even realize that people of GGO also came in to like help and fight and everything. So like everybody's helping to fight. Everybody's pretty much being like run down, like all like the entire red like enemy army is pretty much being run down and everything. And then Asuna sees in the back of her, like in her peripheral, sees that dude in the cloak. And Klein sees him too, and they're freaking out. They know who it is. It's Poe, right? Or Visago, leader of Laughing Coffin. Nobody knows why he's still there. They thought he died probably or some shit like that. And like, man, I really like SAO in that, like, something that I think is really cool is that we always get to see that Laughing Coffin is involved in each season. Like the first half of the first season, the first half of the second season, you got in Alicization also, and then you got War of Underworld, Alicization, War of Underworld 2, and like it's awesome. I love that. Like just to finally have like Laughing Coffin, he's pretty much like the end game type of boss when it comes to the SAO survivors and shit, and I love it. So we got to see him there, and that's why the episode's called Instigation, because I thought he was going to do something to where like the human empire and like the dark territory and whatnot are going to try to like kill each other and stuff like that because of some like false information that occurs. But that's what I thought because of instigation, but that wasn't even the case. Like, he's just instigating all these people that like he was able to get people from Korea and players from China and like all this shit, and also Americans and stuff, and convincing all of them to just like fight like all of these people. Like, it was insane. And then Klein, like, Asuna is about to like break down and cry. She's like, this is just too much. And then Klein and Acho are just like, you know what? Let us take care of it. You know, this is not our world. We're going to protect it, though. So then they come in hot and are fighting all these people and stuff. But also people from, like, you know, the Korean players and the Chinese players and whatnot. All, like, they have, like, in the back of their minds, like, they're a little hesitant because they think that this is pretty weird by what's going on, that like Vasago sent out a message saying that like Japanese players or whatever have taken over the server and shit for like the Americans and stuff like that, telling the Koreans and Chinese like that too. So then they're all coming in hot, and then one of the guys is like, but shouldn't they just shut down the servers? If he was an administrator, he could just shut down the servers and cut off the game and whatnot. So he's having in the back of his head that like, this doesn't make sense. At least there's some people in that Red Army now that like are thinking that this is kind of weird that what's going on and shit. But like, even then, like, pretty much the entire army was coming to fight everybody. You're seeing just the massacring and stuff. And I'm pretty sure a lot of those characters are people from like ALO and GGO and stuff that are getting killed and everything, instead of like the human empire in the underworld. And the whole scene felt like a nightmare for Asuna and looked like a nightmare for Klein. He's like, oh hell no, he's still alive. Like, seeing him like that, and him seeing Vasago, and man, I'm excited for next episode, seriously. And then we got what is his name, Higa, right? Who went to go to the maintenance place or whatever to like be able to connect Kirito's, Sinon's, Lifa or Sugu's, and Asuna's like STLs. Like, he's connected there now from like the maintenance board or whatever. And like, obviously it was very obvious that guy that went with him was the traitor. Like, it wasn't surprising at all whatsoever. What would have been surprising is if Higa was actually the traitor and he betrayed that dude. That would have been like the biggest twist that I've ever seen. But obviously Higa would not do that. And that, I believe, is that's not the end of the episode, or was it? Was that the end of the episode? But like the part where Mr. Miller comes out in his GGO form, in his GGO avatar, and he has this big sword on his back while riding this giant monster floating stingray thing. And I'm like, where did he get that creature when he's looking at Sinon? And then he has I don't know, he used some ability where he went like that, and then it was like a subtilizer ability where like it pretty much froze like Sinon. I don't know if that's an ability or that's just like her trauma from the actual game when he like took her out and killed her in the way that he did. I don't know. But bro, this whole episode was so good. Like, I was crying with the Sheta and Champion. I started crying or tearing up with what happened with Alice and Sinon, and when Sinon said that like was able to give a really good argument and discussion to Alice to where like they didn't die in vain. Like, Kirito didn't sustain these injuries for nothing. He did sustain them to save you, and just like Broccoli came to save you, and that's what he did. So then Alice is heading to the altar now, and whew, man, this I don't care what anybody says about this series. Like, I loved every single thing about SAO, man. Like, especially these, what was it, only 3 or 4 episodes so far? Like, this is crazy. It's so good. Like, It's amazing, and I'm just excited for next episode. See what more like Asuna and Klein are gonna do, possibly against like Visago maybe, or like just to see his more of his abilities. Like that was like is that like a special skill? Is like his instigation type of thing that he does, like being a leader and whatnot? I don't know, but I'm just excited to see like even Klein. Klein's like, it's time for us to shine. Like let us shine, Asuna. So while like the Human Empire is probably like hiding themselves like bundled up, while like everybody's from like say ALO and GGO and stuff are fighting for them because they can come back, but the people from the Human Empire and they can't come back. They can't come back. Their Fluctite, their soul can't come back. So I'm just hyped and I'm excited for next episode. But anyways, that is it for my review. It was so beautiful and everything. But what did you guys think about this episode? Leave down in the comments your thoughts about this episode, your thoughts about what I said and everything, and leave a like if you did, or your thoughts about, you know, like how emotional were you in this episode? Leave down in the comments, and like this video if you did, like the video if you liked the episode, like the video if you liked anything I had to say, like the video if you like me, and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, vlogs, unboxings, live reactions, and discussion videos and things like that. So gentlemen, stay classy, ladies, stay sassy, but most importantly, everybody, you gotta stay a little nasty, alright? So peace and love. And I will see y'all later with the next episode. Peace out. May the force be with you always. Plus ultra. And Latom. And please, again, please don't let both of them die. Shaitan and Champion. Please don't let both of them die. Please.